To understand how Castro came to power, we must go back to March 10th, 1952. Senator Fulgencio Batista, a former Cuban dictator, is a candidate for the presidency in the coming election, scheduled in July. When popular feeling indicates a disastrous defeat for him, he decides again to clamp a dictatorship on this hapless island. With 13 conspirators, he enters Camp Columbia near Havana and wins over the garrison. Batista's men mount machine guns at Camp Columbia. Using captured tanks, they move on the presidential palace in Havana. Batista knows how to get Army support. He was an Army sergeant when he first seized power in 1933. He treated the Army well when he ran Cuba. A radio dispatcher named Rafael Salas Canizares is made chief of all of his police and becomes his hatchet man. The obsolete war surplus ships of the Cuban Navy are caught in the bay with their guns strapped down. Army units in the interior surrender by telephone. Batista's chief obstacle is the president, Carlos Priosa Carras. Tanks and cars are sent racing to the presidential palace. Desperately, Prio tries to get the garrisons outside Havana to support him. When the prospect appears hopeless, Prio takes sanctuary in the Mexican embassy. Overnight, through the army, Batista is in control of Cuba. He is a typical Western Hemisphere dictator, not motivated by any political ideology, only by a lust for power and wealth. He will bleed the country white and create the climate which breeds revolution. His first step is to suspend the democratic constitution, which guaranteed civil rights to all Cubans. In the Mexican embassy, President Priosa Carras arranges to take refuge in that country. His family accompanies him. He also takes with him $40 million amassed during his presidency. He will use millions of this to finance the revolution at a later date. Batista quickly forms his first cabinet. Under the good neighbor policy of non-intervention in the internal affairs of other countries, the United States quickly recognizes his new government. Batista orders the suspension of all civil rights. The students from the university, outpost of Liberty in Havana, carry out a mock burial of the Constitution, walking in a funeral procession to the tomb of Eduardo Chibas, a recent political martyr. Batista police respond with widespread arrests. They round up every possible suspect. The police stations are busy day and night. But the suspension of civil rights kindles more student violence. The thirst for freedom burns among the Cuban people. While Batista rules, there are 19,000 political murders. 11,000 people are exiled. Jose Antonio Echeverria, later to become a martyr of the revolution, exhorts his fellow students to act. A pro-Batista faction smears this statue of a student hero with red paint. Shortly thereafter, they begin a series of street demonstrations, which the police are determined to break up. A student leader is carried from the scene and rushed to the hospital. He dies there under the surgeon's knife. Death in one demonstration becomes the reason for another demonstration. Students marching arm in arm down the street defy police. Bearing a comic likeness of Batista labeled assassin, the mob marches to the CNQ radio station where he is hung in effigy. Police send reserves to scatter the demonstrators and to put an end to the incidents. Pursued by the police, the students head for the sanctuary of the university, which is considered outside civil jurisdiction. That doesn't stop Batista's police. They collar the ringleaders and hustle them off. The students are defended by Pelayo Cuervo Navarro, a former senator and opposition leader. Shortly after, Pelayo Cuervo is shot dead by police when they pick him up for questioning. Police cars and buses take students to a trial which is a mere formality. Daily headlines tell stories of terror. One announces that 7 revolutionary suspects die in a police raid. Batista's hatchet man, Salas Canizares, now is wearing the star of a brigadier. Those who speak out are arrested. Most Cubans seek an end to this oppression. Their desire for action creates a force which the small but highly organized group of communists in Cuba know only too well how to exploit. With the opposition mounting, Batista takes drastic action. Interior Minister Arturo Hermitas meets with radio executives and publishers. Hermitas tells them that the government demands prior censorship of their news reports. Nothing is to be broadcast or printed that is displeasing to Batista. Terror is abroad. The bloody stage is set for a young opportunist named Fidel Castro.